Here today. Excited to explore 5 keys to AI success. My name is Ben Talsma from the Van Andel Institute for Education, and I hope that you'll let me start in a little bit of a peculiar fashion today. I'd like to start by sharing a pet peeve. I'm old enough now to do some of this complaining. And my pet peeve to share today is how AI has turned into a little bit of a buzzword in education. It's how anything that's even remotely electronic gets this AI label in order to try to sell it. So I'll open up this new AI tool and discover that it's essentially just a math blaster where the questions get harder as you go, which is too bad because there really are some powerful transformative technologies out there that have the potential to be quite revolutionary in education because they do so many different things, right? The power of these new AI tools that people are so excited about is that they can do such a diverse range of different things, and they can open up opportunities for us if we use them wisely and well to save time, to teach our students more deeply, and to prepare students for an exciting future. So in this webinar today, I hope to bridge this gap. We know we've got these cool AI tools, these potentially transformative tools. We hope that they'll accomplish some serious learning and transformation in the lives of our students. We've got to figure out how to get there. So the agenda is we're going to start off thinking about where we are with regard to these tools right now. And hopefully we're going to get to where we can go by following a 5-step roadmap. 5 steps, we've got them arranged into the acronym of VALUE that can help any school or educational system integrate AI in an effective fashion. So hopefully today we turn some of those questions, some of those wonderings into excitement. Before we do, there will be a recording available after this is finished. Feel free to share that out. In the link there in the chat, you'll see a link to the hyperdoc with all the resources and ideas we're going to explore today. And also behind the scenes to solve any tech issues is Robin. Robin, would you like to say hi to everybody?
Of course. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today.
There she is, just in case you encounter any tech difficulties. We're also sponsored today by FlexPD. Myself and my colleagues work really hard to connect with schools and provide some professional development that teachers benefit from and really love. So if you are interested in that at all, you can go ahead and send me an email or go to vaieducation.org. So with that out of the way, let's dive in and explore where we are right now. When I work with administrators, I see them in sort of 5 different places or feeling 5 primary emotions. Let's see which of these you are. Some of you might be the Beatles, whose catchphrase here is "let it be." You recognize that these AI tools are here, they've arrived, and you feel like we need to accept that and adapt what we do because there really is no stopping the march of technology. Some of you may have welcomed some of these tools in, like Mickey and the Sorcerer's Apprentice there, but you might be starting to feel a little apprehensive about some of the unintended consequences, some of the things that are maybe feeling like they're getting a little bit out of control. And of course, some of you see some of those possibilities and play the role of Gandalf, trying to bar the gates, trying to keep these out, and preserve our schools as a place where students have to do all of the thinking. Some of you might be Curious Georges. You might be experimenting, exploring personally and also with your staff and students, and figuring out what incredible things these tools can help you to create. And then some of you might be like this stout Cortez here from the poem On First Looking into Chapman's Homer. At the very end, it says, then felt I like a watcher of the skies when some new planet swims into his ken. Or like stout Cortez when, with eagle eyes, he stared at the Pacific, and all his men looked at each other with a wild surmise, silent upon a peak in Darien. Right, this wild surmise, this speculation about what kind of new world we're capable of achieving, right? Feeling that shiver down our spine of awe and wonder and speculation. Some of you might be in that boat. Thank you for indulging me in my little poetry recitation. So I'm curious, which of those 5 best describe you? Are you in the let it be camp? the growing concern camp, the bar the gates. You can choose more than one, by the way, because sometimes our emotions are a little bit complex. Are you a bar the gator, a curious creator, or someone who's looking at all this with awe and wonder? Go ahead and share your answers in the poll. Robin will leave that open for just a moment, and then we'll reveal the answers.
Right.
All right, Robin, what do we see?
All right. So at the top, we have a bunch of curious Georgers, or Georges, I should say. 57%, followed by Chapman's Homer at 43%, Gandalf at 29%, and then the Beatles and Mickey both at 14%.
Great, interesting. Generally, overall, some positive sentiment out there. Of course, there is some concern. There are some dangers or detriments with these tools, but there's also a lot of positive upside. So when we think about these tools and we think about developing policies and practices and ways to integrate them wisely and well, the first key, the way that this starts off, is by establishing and communicating a clear vision, right? There are all sorts of different ways to be an awesome school. Every school's got a little bit different flavor. Your school has its own way of trying to really cultivate a great life for your students, because it really does come down to that. We want to keep our students at the heart. You want to keep your students at the heart. And there are lots of different subtly shifted ways to help them grow and to flourish. The way in which we try to do that really reflects our deep core values. What do we think it means to live a fully flourishing life, and how can we encourage our students to do that? So it starts with those deep, deep values. Those are not going to change because of AI, right? These tools do not change our fundamental mission. They can support it, but they're not going to change it. I love this because sometimes achieving that mission can seem pretty impossible. So if we are feeling like all of those impediments that get in our way over the course of a school day or a school year are not have us down for the count, right? AI can function as the spin AI to get us to break through, to get back on our feet, and get ready to tackle those challenges. This is one of my favorite things about doing AI professional development. I get to work with teachers who really do believe in the mission and the vision of their school, but they run into so many obstacles. It's such a difficult job. These tools can superpower them so that they can do a better job than they could before. And seeing them walk out with that excitement to live out the mission of the school more fully really is inspiring. So if you are like Sydney, administrator that we've worked with, who loves authenticity and project-based learning, you can have your teachers building rich PBL experiences with the help of some AI tools specifically designed for that purpose. If you're like Mark and you've got a passion for helping each student get the differentiated supports that they need, there's all sorts of tools and techniques and tricks out there that can help support that and can help teachers get specific guidance on how they can best address the learning needs of their students. If you're like Cheryl and you really want your school to be a place where every student belongs, if you've got a lot of students who are English language learners or speak English as a second language, you can help them access all of the materials, all the resources, all the curricula. If you want those students to belong, wonderful strategy. She created custom name tags for each of the students so that she can recognize, teachers can recognize some of the interesting things about them, just conversation starters and ways for students to find areas of overlap and connection. The key with this vision is once you've got it, we also need to make sure to communicate that and be transparent about it. Right? We want this vision to be out there. We want it to be something that's in the forefront of people's minds as we think about these new tools and what they mean for our schools. These are going to result not in some change of our mission or our vision or our values, but they are going to result in change in the way that we do things. And so it's important that we communicate that why before we get into the what regarding AI. So once we've communicated that clear and compelling vision, we want to make sure that we build some agreement about how AI interfaces with this, right? We want to get everybody pulling in the same direction. We want to build that consensus, which of course can be a challenging job. However, it is something that we can do, right? And there's a specific way to do that. When we gather diverse stakeholders together, right? We do this a lot with lots of different schools. We can get messy, right? You can see those tables looking a little bit crazy, a little chaotic. We want to get those diverse stakeholders together, teachers, parents, students, other staff members, and we want them to be able to think together about what these tools mean and don't mean. We reflect on their role in education, the ethics around them, the expectations for each of those different stakeholders. And we love to do this by referring back to, by grounding all that work in the school's unique values and vision. Once we've got that foundation established, it's really powerful to look at different cases, to think about ways in which these tools might get used in the real world, and to use those specific cases, those case studies, as examples to encourage deep reflection. So we share lots of different examples and we think about whether this is an acceptable use or a use we should encourage or a use that we should forbid, and the why behind it. The key here is we want to pull out that why, those principles. By looking at the different cases and by reflecting on them with intention, we can suss out those principles that guide what the roles and the ethics and the expectations around these tools should be. Once we've got that understanding, then it's so much easier to craft wise policies to guide implementation and use. So building agreement really does come from reflecting on examples of use out there in the real world, grounding that in our vision and values, and using those to construct our principles and policies. So let's try it. I'm going to give you a survey question here in just a second, sharing just one example of a way that these tools are used. Can be a little bit controversial, and then allowing you to weigh in on how you feel about it. So this is the actual story. I'm going to compress it just for the webinar's sake. This is the AI feedback fast track. We've got an English teacher who's overwhelmed by all of the feedback that she wants to provide. So she uses AI to draft feedback. She can quickly review it and share it with her students. She does make some minor changes to it and signs off on it, but then it can take that feedback time and reduce it from 2 weeks to just a couple of days. Some students really love this. They find it helpful. Some think it's a little bit impersonal. Maybe they feel a little bit cheated by that. So the question is that use acceptable or not? Right, so we're opening that poll up. Robin's opening that poll up. How permissible is this use of AI on a scale from totally unethical to totally ethical? What is your feeling? We're going to leave that open for just a minute as you do some deep ethical reflection.
We have 5 more seconds as they keep coming in.
How are we doing there, Robin?
Yeah, I was going to do about 5 more seconds to get the last few in here.
Wondrous.
All right. So it looks like 43% is at the top at neutral, and then followed by mostly ethical at 29%, totally unethical and totally ethical are both at 14%, and then 0% mostly unethical.
Interesting. So I did a pretty good job of picking something that's going to spark some reflection, spark some controversy, right? And I've seen that before with that example as well. That's one that we kind of have some debate about or feel there's some gray area there. And that opens up a great conversation, right? That case-based learning where we're looking at specific uses really helps spark some deep reflection and conversation about the principles that are going to guide us as we construct our policies. There's not a right answer there. But what we want is agreement amongst the stakeholders. We want them to be able to think and consider together, to build a consensus around what these tools should do and be and why. So we've got those first two kind of laying the groundwork. We've got this clear vision that we've communicated in a compelling way. And we've built some agreement around what these tools can and should be in our schools and why. Once we've done that, it's really important to help staff understand all of the different possibilities out there and to make some informed and professional decisions about which ones are right for them. So it is this incredibly rich, diverse AI ecosystem. So many tools, and beyond that, so many different strategies and approaches to using them to spark deep learning. We want our teachers to be able to explore those different possibilities. And so what we do when we're helping schools to integrate AI successfully is we want to be showers, not tellers, right? That show, not tell, the important infomercial principle. If you want to sell a sham wow, you've got to show them how the sham wow can wow them. Right? So sharing a lot of different ways in which these tools can be used. All these strategies, all the approaches that we share are teacher tested. They're things that teachers we've worked with have come up with and had success with. They're also student tested. We all still work in classrooms and with students. We have an opportunity to get an experiential feel for how these strategies can be used effectively. We've got lots and lots of different options for those teachers to explore. We give teachers the opportunity to really get their hands on, to experience these from the learner's perspective, be able to put their student hats on as well as their teacher hats, and then to make some informed decisions about what they want to do. This is a really powerful process, right? Allowing them to explore can take those teachers who might walk in with a lot of apprehension, and we can shift that so it becomes more like grudging curiosity and then actual inquisitiveness. And almost always, teachers walk out of a great PD about AI with some real excitement about what these tools can do for them, to save them time, to help them teach deeper, and to help them prepare their students for the future. So I'm going to share some, and I want you to feel kind of that teacher hat. Think about these from a teacher's perspective. Which of these might appeal to you if you were in the classroom? All right, I love rank the writing because we learn so much by looking at examples. So when we're learning about a specific kind of writing, we can provide students by using AI with mediocre examples, terrible examples, good examples, great examples, but don't tell them which one it is. Allow them to figure out which one is best, second best, third, and fourth best. And then once they have those rankings, to discuss it with other students. In that conversation, they really dive in and explore what makes a great example of this kind of writing. Super flexible strategy. You can use it for any kind of writing, even writing about content areas. And it gets students really thinking critically about why one might be better than another. Again, I spent a lot of time in the classroom looking for examples. Now I can get them just at the snap of my fingers. Of alien antics. Here, we're going to let the students play the role of the teacher. And they're going to teach an alien who's come down to Earth and who doesn't understand this concept. They're going to teach them about it. And the AI is going to play the role of the alien and ask inquisitive questions. As students teach the alien, they really have to think deeply about the reasons behind what they think and what they know. There's so many teachers who are not data analysis experts. It can be really intimidating. So a lot of teachers are excited about taking some student data, some anonymized student data, and using AI to help pull out the lessons and the stories that it's telling to them. I love injecting a little bit of play. With AI systems, it's easy to create games based on common games that most students know, but which are customized to your academic content. I love apples to apples. If you're familiar with the game Apples to Apples, the students get a category card, and then they have to compare a variety of adjectives to it, and they discuss and debate which one is the best fit. So it's super easy to build these that are customized to any academic content that students are learning in the classroom, and to get them to play, and as they play, to have those deep, rich, meaningful conversations. Role playing is the last one we're going to share today. Here, students are learning through conversation, through chatbot conversation. When these tools first came out, a lot of people wanted to chat with Abraham Lincoln or Vasco da Gama, but I love chatting with inanimate objects. I love chatting with a leaf about what it's like to photosynthesize. Students can really exercise their curiosity. They can ask questions to deepen their understanding. They can clarify confusions, and they can do that in a conversational way that can be super powerful. So, of the 100 or so that we have, those are just 5 of the strategies that teachers have found success with and where we've seen students find success as well. I've shared them with you. I'm curious which ones you might gravitate toward. So the poll is open. You can choose more than one, I think, if I built the poll correctly. Which ones, with that teacher hat on, thinking about you as a teacher or your staff, which ones might you find intriguing?
Seconds.
Those final answers locked in?
Right. So it looks like, Ben, the data analysis one is at the top, followed by role playing, followed by apples to apples and ranking the writing, and then alien antics.
And antics. It is a good one though, but they're all good. There's so many different ways to use these tools successfully. Once we've exposed teachers to a range of these different options, a lot of different tools and techniques for using these tools effectively to promote deep learning, we want to unleash them. Right? There's a million different ways to be a great teacher, and different teachers are going to gravitate toward different solutions based on the needs of their classroom. I like to think about this unleashing problem through like a baseball lens, right? We've got the foul lines, which are created by our policies, right? We've built agreement around those policies, what is an acceptable or an unacceptable use, what should be encouraged, what should be discouraged. But then within those foul lines, teachers have lots of room to explore, to experiment, and to find out what works in your specific context. If there are needs for like a purchase, we love the pilot approach. Have a couple of interested teachers try it out and bring that learning back to their classrooms. One top tip is that most of what we try to do with teachers starts off tool agnostic, right? It's not dependent on a specific piece of technology. I'm always super wary when like we have to follow a specific tech product or tool. I think the power here is in teachers, not in technology. The teachers use the technology, but they're at the heart of it, right? So some dangerous PDs are when you just have one tool and the PD becomes an orientation to it, right? That can end up shackling teachers and preventing your school system from realizing all the different possibilities that are out there. And like to think about it as a hive of bees, right? When bees are trying to find the most nectar, they don't all start off just moving together in one direction. They explore the environment, they explore the area. We want to do the same thing with AI in our schools so that teachers can be all that they can be. All right, so we started with the vision and built some agreement around it. Teachers know a lot of different ideas and we've unleashed them to explore. We want to finish by evaluating what works. So those bees, when they go out and explore, they don't keep that information to themselves. If you know anything about bees, you might know that when they get back to the hive, they do a little waggle dance. The more nectar they found, the more they waggle. It's a way for them to express their excitement about what works and what's working for in that environment. So it's important for us to have ways to share out best practices. When we do this with schools, I'm a huge fan of the simple jigsaw, right? Have teachers get together in groups there with the same colored circles indicating that initial group. Have them share what they're excited about, what that's not working, and then have them mix it up. Talk with people from other groups and then reverse that, come back to their original and share that knowledge out. In just 15 or 20 minutes, so much of what teachers are doing can be shared effectively to build that institutional knowledge around best practice. It's also important that we analyze data as we go, right? If we've got some teachers using approach 1 or 2 or 3, we want to see what we're seeing in the data as far as student growth and achievement, right? That can guide us as well. So we can take that teacher feedback, we can take that data, and we can learn what works well for our school systems. So our journey today, we've explored that value, right? The 5 keys to AI success. Hopefully they can get us from where we are to where we want to go by establishing that vision, by then building agreement, helping our staff to learn what's possible and unleashing them to explore, and giving our community lots of opportunities to evaluate along the way. Where can we go with that? Well, I hope that you can see that this is all grounded in our core values, those important things that we went into education in order to do. These tools don't change that, but they can powerfully support it. Yes, all technology can be used for good or for ill. But if we make our schools the kind of place that integrates these tools wisely and well, we can make our schools the kind of places that can raise up kids who are going to make a positive difference using whatever new technology is coming their way. If you do need any support with this process of integrating artificial intelligence into your school or school system successfully, we would love to be of service. Again, you can send me an email there. You can go to vaieducation.org, or there's going to be a survey popping up in just a second. You can indicate some interest there. I would like to finish by thanking you, first of all, for your time today, for thinking about this important topic, but most of all, for everything you do on a daily basis to have a positive influence on your schools and on the lives and the learning of the kids that are in them. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.